Hey, everybody, this is the Scary Movie Project, and we are your friendly neighborhood film fiends. I'm Tara.
Hey, and I'm Matt. And, well, a couple travels to Sweden to visit a rural hometown's fabled Midsummer Festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. So, we're going to talk about the movie Midsommar. And no, this is not the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, the Midsummer Classic. Believe me, it is far from that.
So far?
It's so far from that. So I'll let you take the reins here and kick us off on this.
Sure. So Midsommar is by Ari Aster, who also did Hereditary, which is another movie that I absolutely love, and I'm sure we'll be talking about on another episode. Teaser there, guys. I'm sure we'll talk about it sometime before long.
I have mentioned it in one of my reviews, so feel free to read it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for now, until we get to it, you can read it on Matt's.
Yes.
On Matt's. Interesting. I looked up and found a little short interview with him, and he says he considers it a breakup movie. Mm-hmm. Where Dani, the main character, is with the wrong guy while the right guy is just under her nose the whole time, which I kind of love. So this time when I watched it more like really thinking of it that way.
Okay.
And man, it makes it so much more fun.
Sure. No, I totally agree with that. I think that's probably fairly accurate. I just watched it recently. It was a movie that I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It kind of fell in the middle for me somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I love it. I have seen it. This is the third time I've watched it. And wow. I saw it in the theater the first time.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I love this movie.
I think that we can dive into details on it later. I was going to say specifically what it is he does about his movies, but if we want to go do a recap, we can do that first.
All right. Well, so first we'll let you know, he did say that it was influenced by The Wicker Man as well.
I love The Wicker Man.
I do too. The original.
So yeah, I never saw the remake. I have no interest in seeing the remake.
And I did see the remake. It was not as good.
No.
It was not as good.
Nope.
And you will appreciate this quote, Matt. He also said, "I hope that this film leaves people feeling a little bit confused as to how to feel."
Yeah. You know what? That's a lot like Hereditary too, and we'll get again. Yeah, we'll get deeper into that later.
Yeah,
yes,
and so
that's a good quote. I agree with that.
And I know last week I had my music theater connection. This time I have my like nerdy connection. Okay. So Josh is played by William Jackson Harper, aka Cheaty from The Good Place, which is another one of my favorite shows.
Okay.
So that's a little like bonus for those of us who love the show The Good Place.
Okay.
So why don't we dive on in with the opening shot, which is of a panel of a drawing, like sort of folk arty drawing, which I did not notice this the first times I saw the movie, but it's basically the plot of the movie in a drawing. Yeah. So
well, and there's that one drawing that you see later, the artwork too. But yeah.
Yes, and that's
right.
That's another special thing, but but we'll get to that. So I don't know. What did you think about the opening?
So that's one of the things that this guy does is he tells you what's going to happen. He really does. He shows you all these things. Mm-hmm. His movies, there's only been 2 of them, fair enough, but he gives you all the clues. You need to pay attention. You really need to pay attention to his movies because he's pretty much going to tell you all the things that are going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely does. And I love the very opening with the like eerie singing as they glide over the silent forests and the singing is going on. Then it cuts straight to the phone ringing.
Yeah. No.
I love it.
Those shots where, what do you call that? What do they call it? Pure cinema, where there's no actors. It's just like beautiful footage. That it really is just pure cinema right there. And that's just, that for me, when I see stuff like that, it's so evil and it's like haunting and it pulls me in. And you don't know you're going to love what you're going to see, but you know you love what you're seeing at that moment in time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we cut right to that, the phone ringing. We pan over and we see mom and dad sleeping, except that
is
they're not sleeping, right? Like
no.
they're too still. It's already creepy. Like right then and there, it's like, oh, they slept through wait a minute, they slept through the phone ringing.
Right.
No, they're not asleep.
And she's flipping out. Her sister's not answering the phone calls or the emails or whatever. And she's calling her boyfriend, panicking, and yeah.
And I'll admit, she seems a little bit more like unhinged maybe in this scene, in this first phone call, but still, and maybe it's just because I'm a chick, I immediately am like, God, Christian's a dick.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's a good thing you picked up on it, because that's one of the huge parts of it.
You pick right up on that, guys. Like it is not a joke.
That's what I'm saying. A dick. That's what I'm saying. The clues, everything is there for you. That's right. And he tells you everything.
He's like, he's trying to be a nice guy, but you can tell he's just too selfish.
He's not even trying to be a nice guy. He's just trying to do what he thinks other people think is right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He's trying to sound like a nice guy.
He doesn't actually care. He just figures, oh, well, this will be perceived by doing the right thing. Yep.
Yeah. And then so he's he smoked resin and he's eating pizza with his friends.
Right.
And they're all telling him get rid of her. Mark especially. Oh my God, Mark is such a dick. Yeah. He says, she's calling him. He says, it's literally abuse.
Right. Yeah, this is actually abuse, man. Right. I remember that.
And so then we cut to the scene of the rescue squad, right? Finding her family.
This is, I mean, go ahead.
No, I would just say this for me is this actually the scariest thing in the movie.
Well, because it's real.
Yeah, like it's so real. But it's so brilliantly shot with their yellow hats for the rescue squad,
slow motion and everything,
and the red flashing lights coming in through the window to the blue dark of the house.
And there's no background audio. It's all just the music.
Yes, and it's so powerful.
Right. Now,
because you can imagine it being silent in there, and the only sound is them breathing. Oh, God, it's so creepy.
Now, after I finished watching that scene, I thought, okay, you know what? I'll watch anything that's as demented as possible, and that stuff's fine by me. Where did this guy come up with this idea of that? Is the strangest, most terrifying idea of how to kill off characters I think I've ever seen in my life.
Honestly, I really wonder.
Let's do a carbon monoxide
from real life
and stick it in the tube in her mouth and then pump it in the house. That's it. Let's shoot this scene, guys. It's going to be great.
It's too scary. Like it's too creepy not to be from something real. Like, I don't know.
And it's crazy because people do that, but they do that in their car in a locked garage. They don't actually send it in their house.
Oh, and take the parents with them. That's terrible.
So we're assuming they had no idea they were asleep when this happened, correct? This is not like a giant mass suicide, right?
No, I think they were completely asleep, and she just because it's like there's a hose under the door, and from the outside it's stuffed. The towel stuffed. I think she killed her parents and herself.
That's what I mean. Yeah, this was not a pact they all made ahead of time. Like, okay, well, we're all going to die together. No. This was hers. Yeah. She's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then, of course, Dani calls Christian back, and she's, losing her mind, which who wouldn't be, right? It's horrible. And he comes over to see her. And this is where I noticed the art in her room.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's so super pagan. There's the moon painting.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's like a deer woman thing, like running over bodies. Yikes. Right. And then there's the like little girl kiss, like with the little bear.
Right.
Like, but it's so the bear, remember, we're coming back to bears, guys.
We're definitely coming back to bears.
we're coming back to bears later on. Yes, but it's already like setting this sort of pagan-y tone that we're going to get to once we get to the meat of the film.
New word, pagan-y tone, right.
Pagan-y tone. And this is, dude, all that, guys, is before the opening credits.
Yeah, and then she just totally breaks down into, like sobbing, And even when he's trying to console her, he's faking it, right?
But he's just, I'm gonna say it so many times, you guys, you're gonna get sick of it. He's such a dick.
That camera is the camera slowly truck. It's that shot that's slowly pushing in, and he's kind of just like petting her almost, like he just doesn't really seem to care. And
yeah.
He doesn't care.
And then I guess the next scene is she's asleep.
And then,
she's fallen asleep, and he's gonna go to a party just for 45 minutes.
That's right, 45 minutes.
And I know, I'm like, dude, like this was middle of the night, right? Late night probably. They're up all night. She just went to sleep, slept for a couple hours, and he's leaving her. Like literally not even probably 12 hours after her whole family died, and he's just gonna leave her and go to a party.
Right.
Again, just a dick. So at the party, you notice how isolated she is. Like,
oh yeah,
she's
and no one wants her around. No one likes her. His friends. This is like a super icy. Like you can feel the tension with everyone together in this whole group. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, his friends do not like her, and they're just like they don't even pretend well.
No.
And then so that's how she finds out, right? That her boyfriend is going to Sweden in like a few days.
So here's the one thing I'll say quickly.
Or a week or something.
I'll say quickly though, they didn't mention it. It wasn't like a graphic that got put up. But is there a passage of time between the news of her family's dead and that happening? I thought there had to have been some passage of time between this.
I don't know. I interpreted it as this was like the next day.
Oh, that
and
can't
he was
be
just still going
Could
to the
that
party.
be possible when something like that happens and you just go to a party 12 hours later? I don't know.
I don't know, but that's how I interpreted it. That he's just a dick, and she just felt like she had to go.
Yeah,
because she didn't want to be a problem.
It could be.
Because she also says when she's on the phone with her friend and she's worried about it, she has depression and anxiety.
Right.
So she's worried about being a burden to him. So I think she feels like she has to. I mean, I think that's part of the point. She's pushing herself through the grief all this time when she should be letting herself go through it.
No, you know what? That can't be true. We're missing an obvious point here, but that's fine because remember when he walked over to her house, it was snowing, and they're going to go to Sweden in the summer in June. So that can't be right. So there has to have been a few months' time.
Okay, so maybe it is then.
There had to have been a few months' time. There has
Okay, well then he's like 0.5% less of a dick.
Sweden is still northern hemisphere, so summer is still summer that we would have in our so that makes sense. That makes sense.
No. Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
So he's like 0.5% less of a dick.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter how much time passes. Whatever. Anyway, all right. So they're gonna go. Because one dude's gonna write his thesis on like midsummer events or like Scandinavian or something.
Yeah, but one thing I loved in the party scene actually that I want to bring up is I love after the party scene when they have their fight about it, kind of where she's like, "Why didn't you tell me?"
No, you can go. I just wish you had told me. Right.
Yeah. Nice impression. Very good.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, thanks.
There's the shot of her with him in the mirror.
Yeah.
Which separates them like
that was pretty neat, wasn't it? That was cool.
And then when he's with his friends and they're all at their place and he's telling them all, oh, quick before she gets here, like I fake invited her basically to come with us to Sweden, but she's not going to come. Don't worry.
Right. She's not
and then
come.
in that shot, and then in that shot, she's in the glass of the picture frame while we're looking at all the guys. So she's separated again from everybody. And they do this, I think, a couple times in that sort of opening part where she's separated basically by glass.
Right.
So they're all going to go. She, of course, wants to go too. Paley is like the only friend who stays and hangs out and talks to her.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting dynamic on there too. But
yeah. Well, and we'll find out why he's talking to her more than anyone else later.
All right. So do we fast forward and they go there and they all go to Sweden, right?
They all go to Sweden. And there's one other filmic thing I want to talk about that I love, which is she goes to the bathroom at the friend's house because she's going to cry.
Right.
She goes to the bathroom and she opens the door, and it cuts straight into her opening the door into the bathroom on the plane.
On the plane, and she starts like breaking down.
Oh,
right.
It's one of the best like transitions.
Natural transition.
Oh, it's so good.
I love stuff like that too.
Love it.
Yeah, those are good. Those are good. I like those.
And then so they go, and she goes with them, and they go and they stop in the clearing right on the way to the village, and they all do shrooms.
They do a lot of drugs in this movie.
They do a lot of drugs in this movie.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to do a lot of drugs in this movie.
Now it's the middle of nowhere, Sweden. It's a party, I guess, right?
Yeah. And then Mark is like, he's so hilarious.
Oh yeah, that dude was funny.
When he's tripping and he's like,
are new people coming?
Lie down. Are new people coming? I don't want new people. I can't handle new people. I'm just going to lay down, okay? Everybody else lay down. Josh, can you lay down, please?
I don't want new people. That was great.
I don't want new people. So Mark says, and this was another thing, Mark says something about, you guys are my family, and it triggers her, and she basically is like, I'm going to take a walk so that she doesn't have to freak out in front of them.
Right.
And this is the thing.
And remember, it happened to her before back at the apartment when what's his face? What's the Swedish guy's name? I forgot.
Pele.
Okay, all right. When he's talking to her about, hey, sorry about your family, and she loses it, like she cannot have. She's not far enough removed from her grief to have a conversation about this yet. Right.
And I think also she's afraid to show it to these people because they're not supporting her like they should be.
Sure. Yeah, they don't care about her. No. Anyway.
Yeah,
so
especially her boyfriend.
Seriously. So they all trip out.
So they all trip.
And she tries walking away. And then she's tripping all hard, and she's like, "Oh, they're laughing at me or something." And I forget. Is that when
she goes into that little hut, and you see a flash of someone behind her in the mirror? And I think it's her sister.
Yeah, probably. Yes, I think it is.
Just for a second, you see someone behind her in the mirror. Oh, so creepy.
I think it is.
And then she falls asleep.
The one thing I thought about this movie also was, I don't know if this is true. Maybe this is just me. It's one of those movies where you knew exactly what was going to happen. Does that make sense? You knew it was going to happen in this movie. It was just a matter of like delivery and reveal of how it was going to go down.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean,
like we knew what was going to go on. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. You knew that this Swedish place that the village was not going to be just like all pastoral and perfect.
Basically not good.
Yeah. Not so good.
Not good.
So she's fallen asleep. They've come and found her. They all walk into the village. And like the opening day rituals when they first get there is like, doesn't really seem scary yet. It's just kind of very.
Well, that's great too. And they walk through the woods and they get that shot pulls out and that big, what is the symbol? Like the rune.
Yeah, the rune
is up there. And they almost like walk through it, which was, I thought was really
cool.
They
walk through the big sun thing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There's a big like sun-shaped portal, and they walk through that, and that's like, it's almost like they're going into this like magical realm.
Yeah.
At that point,
that's cool.
I read something in Box where they said it was like a fairy, like the movie is like a fairy tale.
Yeah, totally.
So that would be like you're entering another realm moment.
Absolutely.
And now we're into the village, and they're having they're giving them strawberries, and people are playing flutes, and they're being welcomed, and it's all very sweet and lovely. And there's the redhead,
Maya?
whose name is Maya. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the redhead, they're sitting down. The redhead kicks Christian in the back, like she's after him from the first moment. She must have seen a picture Pele sent back or something. I was going to say,
I don't even think it was after. I think it was kind of one of those things where this is all kind of just like Hereditary's plot. Everything that was going to happen to them was predetermined. So it was almost like she knew this person. I think she probably was told this person was coming. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I think she saw pictures of him, and they wanted, we'll get to this, but they wanted seed.
Yep. That's right.
So yeah, she's from the first moment, she's already like starting her seduction, her like 15-year-old seduction.
Right.
because
Yeah.
she's
Well,
pretty much a child.
I was gonna say she can't even be 18 years old. I wouldn't think now.
Yeah, maybe she's like 16 or something.
Who
She
knows?
can't
I'm
be
not even
that
gonna
old.
dwell on that because it's a creepy thought to think about. So we're gonna move on from that.
So yeah, so we're not gonna get into that.
You know what it
'cause
reminds
that's
me?
not what we're
It
here
reminds
for,
me of
but-
that villa. Remember that song, the safety dance, Men with Hats or Men
Yes.
Without Hats. Remember that? You just the video for that?
No.
Well, you should now. They have like this magical kingdom where they're dancing around, and it kind of reminds me of that part of the movie. So yeah, check that video
Okay.
out sometime.
All right, I'll have to check that out.
Yep.
So they got there. They're at the village, and what day is it? It's Dani's birthday.
Woohoo!
And who forgot?
Shocking. Yeah.
Fucking Christian.
Christian, the boyfriend.
But Pele did not. He drew a beautiful picture of her.
Yes, he did. He's quite the artist, much like Jack in Titanic, right?
just like Jack and Titanic.
I had to throw that in there.
So then they're talking at one point. Oh, at some point they're talking and someone says, I think it's Simon and Connie, who are the other couple who've come with another
British
friend.
couple.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so one of them says, well, how long have you guys been together? And they've been together 4 years. And I'm thinking, how the hell did that happen?
So
how did she stay with him for 4 years?
That is the point right there where if you weren't getting the message that this is a jacked up relationship, you now are aware of. That was the big moment right there.
Because he thinks it's been like three and a
Right.
half, and she's like 4 years in 2 weeks.
Right. Because when you're at that 4-year point and you're still at that stage where they're at, there's obviously a problem. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is also when we get introduced to the sacred, like, little hut temple thing that no one's allowed into.
That's right. The A-frame, the yellow A-frame.
Yeah, the
right?
A-frame, the yellow A-frame
Right.
that nobody's allowed into.
Right.
A random bear in a cage, which, hey, we'll come back to that.
That kind of made me mad, but anyway.
It's like the gun in Act 1. We'll come back to that.
Right.
And the creepy, quote unquote, love story.
Okay, so that
told in pictures.
So right there, so you've seen it a couple times, but I know you like it. You like it way more than I do, and I'm sure you picked up from the beginning, like you mentioned earlier, about looking at the artwork originally in her apartment.
Yes.
But the moment for me where I knew it was going to happen was seeing that told me the story of what was going to happen, and it's that great sliding cam shot that just moves across it. And after I was done looking at it, I thought, oh, now I definitely know what's going to happen in this movie because I just saw it in that artwork. Right.
So
a little graphic, definitely not for the kiddos. A couple of those scenes, but
oh yeah. So somebody is getting seduced and basically going to be magicked into mating with someone.
Yeah.
And so then they have their first they have the moment where they're saying, Pele's telling them about like from birth till 18, we're children. From this age till 35, you're in spring, and then you're in summer, and then you're in fall, and until 72, or you're in winter till 72. And then they say, what happens at 72? And he goes,
yeah, he makes that great like throat slit sign. Right.
Throat slit sign. And
great.
you're like, ha ha.
Isn't that funny?
Wait,
right.
what?
Oh, yeah, hold on.
Wait.
Right. I know. I love that.
And I think the first time I saw it, I kind of did just be like, oh, funny. Like I didn't think about that part.
I didn't take it at all seriously. No.
Yeah, no. I didn't catch it. I was just like, haha, Pele being silly. And then Christian has his attempt at a birthday gesture, which is pathetic.
Oh my God, the cake, the cupcake. What was it? Was it
slice of cake
that he can't? You know what I love?
And he can't light it.
I love that was. I guarantee you that was not meant to be where he couldn't light it. I guarantee that happened on set, and they just said, "The hell with it, let's go with it." And I love that. I think that's actually. I love little mistakes like that. I guarantee that was a mistake.
And then he's singing to her while he's doing it, and he can't get it lit. And finally, he ends the song with "Happy birthday, dear Dani. Happy birthday to you,
right?
fuck." No, yeah. Happy birthday to you, fuck. Because he can't get it lit, and it's just so perfect.
Well, right, and it basically, everything's gone wrong with them. So, of course, why wouldn't this go wrong too, right? Yeah, exactly.
Right, of course.
Yep. No, that was perfect.
And so then they have the first big sit down meal where the two old people, the guests of honor, come out.
Yes, strange.
And they do the chant thing and everyone toasts. So it's not really too creepy yet. It's just like, oh, they have these like pagan rituals. Here we go.
Yep.
And then cut to everybody's standing, staring up at a cliff. And the two old people get brought up to the cliff on a litter.
And you're like, uh-oh.
And they jump right off.
They sure do.
Falling to their deaths, one after the other.
And when they land, they don't cut away from it.
Oh, it is not
It shows
pretty, guys.
That woman's face splat into a rock at a tight shot of her face literally exploding.
Yeah, and then like the shot of her like laying there on her back and her face is all caved in. But the scene up until that, it is so beautiful and majestic.
Oh, it's cool, yeah.
And like slow and drawn out, and it's lovely, which makes the gore so much worse.
I know, right?
And then, oh God, and then the man jumps and he doesn't die.
And his leg is like in two places, right?
Oh, his leg is like almost completely off. Like it's so bad. And they have to like take a huge hammer and like slam into his head.
The hammer, which
it's terrible.
And the hammer, which by the way, you saw them walk in with and you realize that's not for like nails or something. That's not what that's for. They're not fixing something that's broken with that thing. They're not, that's not happening. Oh my God.
That part is so.
And they have the great moment where everything, the sound cuts out again and it's just like silence. And you're just sitting there, you're kind of like taking it all in. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's totally normal to them. And of course, our American friends, they are like, what is going on? And the British guy is like, we're out of here. This is crazy. I'm leaving.
That's one of the things that really struck me. The Simon and Connie, the British couple, are like losing their shit. Like they are freaking out. And Dani's group is just kind of like stunned. But Josh, if you remember in an earlier scene when they talk about we're about to do the whatever, I can't remember what they call Atrisung or something.
Yeah, there's a term for it. I can't remember it either.
But Josh knows what's going to happen. Josh knows what's going to happen, and he just stands there and watches, and he is not stunned.
Right. Yeah.
He is not freaked out.
Crazy, isn't it?
He is interested.
Sure.
Because he is a
well, he's doing the research work for it.
Because he's doing his research.
Right. Yeah.
And
so
then
these old folks die off at 72, of course, right?
Yeah, they sacrifice themselves as the female leader says when she's trying to explain that they chose to give their lives instead of letting them decline.
Hey, I mean, think about that way. You don't have to worry about getting old or how exactly you're going to die because you know exactly what's coming. So
yeah. And so then they go into Christian deciding that he's going to do his thesis on this place too.
And that really, did I miss something? I just don't understand that part of it. I just didn't get that.
So he didn't have a thesis. Like they're talking about it earlier that he needs a thesis and he needs to decide what it's going to be.
But was it just to cause more tension between the group? Like, I don't know what the point of it really was.
I think so. I think it was about the tension between the group and also I think that Christian's a dick.
Yeah, no, I mean for sure. I mean that had to have been what it was. It was just to make more tension, and then they
Josh
go for
is pissed.
Oh yeah, and they go for that next meal, and at this point they all are pretty angry with each other.
Well, I think even before that next meal, we should talk about who comforts Dani when she's freaking out again.
Oh right, of course.
Good old Pele is there to tell him that this community is his family because his parents died in a fire when he was really young. Remember that?
Wink, right.
Yeah, his parents died in a fire.
Yep.
In fact, he doesn't even say they died in a fire. He says they burnt in a fire.
Right.
When I was very young. And so, but he talks about how this whole community is family and she deserves that too. And he says to her about Christian, do you feel held by him? Does he feel like home to you? And I think she's starting to realize like, oh, and she knows that he's likes her because he takes her hands and she says Christian might come in.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, that's what I'm talking about.
He drew the picture of her. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, and then she takes the sleeping pill from Josh
every night.
And dreams
she takes, yeah.
But that first night, she dreams the guys are leaving without her.
Oh, yeah.
Night.
And they're in the car. That was crazy. I forgot about that part. Yeah.
And she dreams about her dead family. And that same night, the redheaded girl has a little like fetish of some sort that she puts under Christian's bed.
Yes.
And Josh sees it and he takes it out and he asks Pele what it is. Yeah. Guess what, guys? It's a love rune. Shocker. You'd never guess.
Right.
And then Mark, they're all hanging out that day, and Mark has to go to the bathroom and he pisses on their ancestral tree.
Ah, yes, the sacred tree.
Which is not cool.
And they are
the
not
sacred
they
tree
are
where they
he's like, it's just an old tree, man. What does it matter? Right.
Yeah, and he's a dick about it. Instead of just being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He has to be like a dick about it.
Right.
So like now you're like, oh well, he's not long for this world, right? Come on.
No.
And then Connie is looking for Simon.
Oh, that was weird, right?
Right. Connie's looking for Simon, and someone comes and tells her, no, he already got taken to the train station. Because after the two old people jumped to their death, they were like, we're leaving tomorrow. Screw this place.
I'm out.
So they come and tell her, Simon already got taken to the train station. You'll get picked up when they're done dropping him off. And she is not having
they're like, no,
it.
calm down. He'll be back in 20 minutes. It's fine. Right. It's no big deal.
Yeah, they're like, the guy will be back. She says, well, I could have sat in his, they said it was only a 2-seater. I could have sat in his lap. Well, we don't break traffic laws here.
That's right. We're we obey all the rules. That's right.
Yep. And then let's see. Then they have the holy book out and Josh gets to see it and talk to the guy.
Because they go ahead and they give him the permission to do the thesis, but they have to tell him you can't use anyone's name or where you were. Right.
And so he gets to see the holy book and he learns that the mentally disabled kid is writing it by painting pictures.
He's the oracle.
Then they interpret, the elders interpret.
He's the oracle.
Yeah, he's the oracle.
That's right.
And Dani breaks bread with the women.
Yep.
And the redhead has made a special cake of her own.
That's right.
That we'll come back to that, guys.
Yes.
And now it's time for dinner.
Right.
And guess who else is gone? Connie.
Yep.
Little suspicious.
Yep.
So now everyone in the group is fighting.
And that line when they're sitting there is great, where Dani's talking about how he would leave. Why would he leave without her? Like, what's up with that or whatever? And it's quiet for a second, and then she says, like, she kind of mumbles it, like, sounds like something you would do.
Yeah, and I could see you doing that.
Yeah, that's it. And you're sitting there watching her going, oh, this is just going to go downhill real fast. This is bad.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure you noticed this, Matt. At one point, you recognize that, wait a minute, everybody's lemonade is yellow except Christian's.
Thank you.
Christian's lemonade is pink.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Harking back to the love story painting we saw. Yep, people.
It's all coming together.
That is menstrual blood.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
It was unpleasant, to say the least.
And then there's a pubic hair in his cake.
Sure is.
And that's awesome. So we know where this is headed.
And so then that one woman comes over and asked, what's the guy, Mark, to come with her. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much the last.
Oh, he's doomed.
That's the last we see of him.
Yeah, he's doomed. We'll never see him again.
He's gone. And then
we'll never see him again.
Then they kind of finish the meal. And then is that when, what's his face, the guy doing the thesis disappears? We know
that night is when Josh wakes up in the middle of the night and he sneaks out to take photos of the holy book.
He's got to have it, even though they told him you can't do this. Because remember, he asked earlier, can I take a picture? And the guy was like, no, you cannot.
He's trying to take photos because he wasn't allowed to. And he's caught. We see someone in a window again behind him. And he thinks it's Mark at first.
Well, kind of.
Pro tip, guys, it's not Mark.
It's kind of him.
It's the mentally disabled kid wearing Mark's face.
That's right.
He whacks Josh over the head. Now, you guys, at this point, that makes the body count 4. Or 6 if you count the old man and women, or 9 if you count Dani's family.
Yeah, that's true. You're going deep on that. But okay, all right, fair enough.
So we're missing some people, and it's 2 of the group of 5 that Dani came with are missing now.
Yep.
Or 2 of the group of 4. No, 5. Yeah, because Pele.
That's right. He doesn't count.
Yeah, he doesn't count. So then the next day, the elders are, they confront Christian and Dani, and they're saying, it's kind of suspicious. Josh and Mark disappeared at the same time as our book disappeared. Our book has been taken, and this is really suspicious. And Christian throws Josh under the
Oh,
bus.
oh, man.
We don't associate with him as a friend of his or as collaborators in any way.
Like, why would you ever? I mean, that is. Yeah.
Oh, he's such a jerk about it. Like, and
it's not like
you
you're
can
like,
tell.
it's not like you're at a backyard party near your house. You're in another country. You got to go back with this guy. Like, what are you doing?
Well, and Dani is just looking at him like, really, dude?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Crazy. And then it's time after that for the girls to go off and drink their drugged tea.
Yeah, I don't even want to know what's in that either.
And dance the maypole.
And dance they do, and or as they say,
and they dance and dance.
As an old saying is, and how? Because
yes,
they dance for a long time.
And what happens while they're dancing? Christian gets sent off. Well, first Christian gets sent off to the female leader. I can't remember her name.
I know. Yeah, right.
And she tells him that his astrological chart
that's right
matches with Maya's, and she has permission to mate with him.
Yes.
So they want him to have sex with Maya. Basically, they're trying to like get fresh blood so that they don't just end up all incest and like screwed up.
They don't need that, right?
And so he talks to her. Dani is dancing the maypole, and of course, and then during this was one of my favorite parts too. There's the Swedish girl who says something to Dani, and Dani says, "I don't speak Swedish."
But
and
you
then,
are.
And then she says it in Swedish.
Yes.
And she's speaking Swedish. She doesn't know it. Like, she doesn't even know Swedish.
Right.
But they're so like,
she's
so
stoned,
high.
She's stoned out of her mind. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're so high. They think they can understand each other.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And then Dani wins the competition, and she's the May Queen.
And I love during this, like, while everyone's watching and clapping, the entire village is into this, and Christian is just on another planet. Like, he is so... watching him, his level of disconnection is, like, unbelievable. Yeah.
And someone brings him drugged tea during it that...
And he drinks it.
I think, based on how he behaves later, might be even more drugged. Because he's out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And so after she wins May Queen, this is another shot that I love. They bring out the platform and she steps onto it and they raise it up. And there's a shot where you can see her literally just being carried away from Christian on the raised platform.
Exactly. Yep.
As she goes away from him.
Yep.
And then there's another meal.
Yep.
That she as the May Queen presides over. And they do the goofy like fish thing with the herring, which is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, making her try to eat. Yeah, that's right.
They try to make her try to swallow it whole. Right. Yeah, it's really funny.
Now, what did you think of, and I'm sure you noticed this, and hopefully everyone does, how about the food like moving around because they're tripping so hard, right?
And whatever that meat was, and I don't think it's just because I'm a vegetarian, it looked so gross.
No, I think it was like a whole pig or something like that. But
it looked so gross.
It was moving and like just, that was so weird.
And one of the flowers in her crown is like breathing.
Yes, I love it. That stuff is so crazy.
Yeah, and like behind her, things are waving.
Right, it wasn't really all that subtle, but it took a minute to try to watch it and be like, okay, I see what's going on. That was wild.
Yeah. But I think it's a great way to show because this happens with the first time they get high on the shrooms too. When it's a great way to show that they're altered perception.
It is good. Yeah, that's
right?
Good. Exactly.
And so after the meal, Dani has to go off and like bless the field. So she has to do their fertility rite.
Yeah.
And Christian goes.
He like passes out at the table, basically, doesn't he? Almost, right? Because he's so messed up.
Yeah, he's almost passing out, and they lead him off to mate with Maya, with redheaded Maya.
The mating.
So basically, they're both doing fertility rites at the same time.
Yep, exactly.
And that sex scene is, shall we say, unusual?
You know what though? You got to look at it as, scenes like that are just so taboo by everybody. I mean, I personally had no problem watching it. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm speaking for myself here. Everyone's not the same, of course. But you know what? For them, it's just a regular rite that they do. There's nothing odd about it for them. It's just what they're doing, and they were trying to shoot it and show it as natural as it could possibly be. To them, it's not a big deal. It's not.
No, yeah. I think they're just much more free and open about that stuff, and it's a ritual, and so it's it's beautiful to them.
Exactly. That's right.
And to be honest, if you can look at it without our American, like,
that's the problem. Exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Our straight laced, where we're like, ooh,
Taboo.
naked people,
Taboo. Right.
Right.
Naked
without
people.
all our
my
taboos,
goodness. Right.
It actually is kind of beautiful.
Well, I mean, it is in reality. Yes, it is.
I'll tell you what, it's a better first time than a lot of women get here.
Well, you know what else? It's not phony. It's not a staged, stupid. Well, it's staged. It's a movie. But it's not a lame, poorly lit, stupid sex scene from a regular movie. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah. And so then, of course, Dani comes back. She discovers that Christian is having sex with Maya.
She looks through that little peephole. Right, yeah.
Yeah, somehow there's still something left in her that can be upset about this.
Well, that's about it, though, yeah.
And so the girls take her away and they grieve with her, which is literally the first time this has happened in the movie.
That is great when they're all just start wailing with each other, you're talking about? This is weird.
Yes. But think about it.
Crazy.
She has not been able to grieve yet.
Yeah, you're right.
And this is the first time she's gotten to with these people.
That's right.
And so Christian, of course, then finishes having sex, runs out from the sex hut and is like,
completely naked.
I don't know, freaking out.
Yeah.
Finds Josh's foot in a garden, which
yes.
I don't know what that is about.
Loved it.
Then finds Simon hanging in the chicken coop.
You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of that scene in Silence of the Lambs. Remember when Lecter escapes and he hangs the prison guard up?
Oh,
that's
God.
What that reminded. There's a term for what they did to him. I don't know what it's. I think it's like
the blood eagle.
Is that it? It's some ancient.
It's a Viking
tribal,
thing.
Yeah.
Except that I'm pretty sure that usually your lungs don't continue breathing, but that may have just been because he was high.
He was, They hang him up by his, that was wild.
Yeah, and they put flowers in his eyes, and so then somebody comes in. One of the older guys comes in, blows powder into Christian's face, and he's knocked out.
And he's done. Yep,
he's out. He's done. So
then he wakes up.
Then Dani. Right. They revealed that Dani as the May Queen has to choose. They have sacrifices. Mm-hmm. They have 4 visitors and 4 of their own people. Yep. And the 9th person has to be picked by Dani. She has to choose between a villager or Christian. Who do you think she chooses?
Right. Yep.
And then remember we said the bear would come back.
The bear comes back. That's for sure.
The bear comes back. They have gutted the bear. And they Christian into
before they
it.
even do, I love the scene though when they're at the butcher table, when the guy is like explaining how to butcher this animal to this kid, like it was like this passing down of traditional. Yeah, meanwhile, while this is happening, don't forget to mention Christian, the Jesus juice, whatever they gave him, that powder, completely so he is 100% lucid and alive and awake, but he is utterly paralyzed and he cannot speak.
Yeah. So he's totally paralyzed.
Right.
So they just bundle him up inside the bear, sew him in, and take him to the yellow A-frame that nobody was allowed to go in. Right. And they've got all the other people in there, and he's in there. They light him on fire.
And remember they bring in the other like tokens of the other people, and then the two villagers who have
and the 2 villagers who volunteered.
Yep.
So they're all in there. He's in the center, and the female leader, she makes a speech about how they're burning the bear basically to banish their worst effects.
That's right.
Which to me is just like Dani needs to banish Christian from her life.
That's right.
Like she is banishing her worst burden.
Yeah.
With this ritual.
That's right.
And they're all out there screaming and beating their chests, as the people who are dying are screaming.
Right.
And I love it as the hut comes crashing down. Dani just
smiles.
Just slowly smiles.
Yep.
Might be the first time in the movie we see her truly smile.
Where she actually means it, where she's happy. Exactly. Yeah. I can say that.
So that's the end of the movie.
That's it. And I mean, the one thing I'll say right away is that might be the worst possible way to die, because, look, people burn to death. It happens, and it's awful. And I hope you don't want it to happen. But could you imagine that happening and being unable to do literally anything about it?
Yeah, just sitting there and you can't move, you can't do it. Ugh, terrible.
That would be one of the worst ways. So, as far as the violence and just the way that they portray this, I mean, he is over the top, and I'm okay with that because, I mean, I thought that was great, but wow, it's intense.
I think it makes sense within the context of the movie.
Yeah, it does.
And so we talked about, at the beginning that he said that it was kind of a breakup movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of it like, I look back at it, watching it like that this time. I said, God, it's a horror movie for the guys. Like, they're in a horror movie.
Yeah.
But she's kind of in like a twisted romantic comedy.
Fairy tale, like you said,
where
too,
she
right?
finds, in a fairy tale, she finds her family. Like, she has now found her family. Right. And as screwed up as this place is, as horrifying as it is, I think the outside world is so much more horrifying to her.
Yes.
That this village seems like a safer place.
Yes, it's pure. That's right. It's the old adage that, you look at like society throughout time, and especially we've done it in movies where, it was always, the big city was the safe place to be. And then, it would switch because, you hear these stories about crazy people living out in the woods that, like Ed Gein in Wisconsin carving people up and doing things with their body, inspiring Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, yeah, these things flip. So what's really pure? Is it the evil people in the city, or is it the evil people that live in the middle of nowhere? So you kind of have to go back and forth with that. So, but keep going. You were getting somewhere. I was interrupting you.
No, I think that was what I was getting at. That her family's deaths, her horrible boyfriend, and the quote unquote friend she's traveling with. Yeah. These are the horrifying, terrifying, bad things from the real world that she needs to escape.
Yep.
And she needs to find a new family.
Yeah.
And now she has. So for her, it's a happy ending.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I think, Hereditary, because Aster did that movie. That's a little. You really need to get a little deeper and to figure that one out sometimes, because that movie. I mean, I got it at the end, but it took a long. My brain hurt at the end of it, sort of, because there's almost too much happening. Really, this one is toned down, and it is. Like I said, what's going on. But I think, as far as, like I said, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm in the middle with it. I think it took a little too long for us to get to where we were going. But in that same vein, this guy is really good at what he does.
Yeah.
He's real. So from that side, it could be a movie that I hate, but I would appreciate the storytelling and the craft that this guy is putting together.
Because he does a long movie.
He does a great job. It's
over 2 hours.
It is. He does a great job because he is super detail oriented. Now, if it's something like any kind of, just anything you have a lot of knowledge about, or something you've wanted to portray, whether you're making a movie or you're making a song or you're an artist of some sort or you're painting a picture, you want to convey everything you possibly can. And so I love him for doing that. I mean, that he took his time to really get into this druidic pagan society. Mm-hmm. And for that, it could have been 8 hours long, and I would have watched it, and I would have appreciated every minute of it because of that. So I don't need to love the movie to appreciate this guy putting his all in on this to make it the way it's supposed to be. And I love anything pagan, anything, druidic stuff like that. I love stuff like that. So for that was, like I said, we agreed. We all know what's going to happen. You knew it was going to go on. You didn't know exactly how. But yeah, being in that world, I mean, I certainly hope people in Sweden aren't offended by this for sure, but I don't know. But I mean, for that stuff, it was right on. So for those reasons, those are the reasons that I enjoyed it. I thought it was, and of course the violence was top notch.
And I just flat out loved it.
And
so
there you go. Yeah, and you know what? This is, well, I was gonna say it's a love it or hate it movie. I even though I just said I kind of fell in the middle of it, but I know folks who would watch it and would say, "What the hell was that?" And there are folks like you who say you love it. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel like I was in the middle with it. I'm sure I'll watch it again, but
I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was good.
I think he's that kind of
just so
writer
detailed.
Director.
Yeah.
He's detailed, but he takes
a
strong stance with his movies.
Yes.
He doesn't puss out on anything.
No. And you know what? That's where. And we'll get to this when we talk about it. If we ever talk about the movie The Witch, which is incredible.
Which we have to, and we will.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been reading and learning about that stuff my whole life, because that's an area of country where my mom was from, up in New England. And so I've learned about it forever. And I know all that stuff, and I've always thought how cool it would be to create that. And when that director Robert Eggers made that movie and made those sets and everything, for someone like me who loves this stuff, like looking at that scenery and seeing it, like you almost want to cry because it's so beautiful. It's so well. This guy put his heart and soul into making this as authentic as possible, and that's where during the whole movie there were scenes where I was like, yeah, this is too slow, and that line was kind of corny, but above all, you're looking at how this decoration and this, what he made this is just incredible. So yeah, again, that to me,
that's a movie we'll have to talk about before too long.
Right. So that's why Midsommar stood out for me, because this guy, he went in so well, and he was going to do it his way. And I mean, for that reason, it's just beautifully done. And those little moments, like you mentioned about, these little subtle things, and you got to follow this guy's clues. He drops breadcrumbs for you everywhere. You just got to be able to follow them.
Oh yeah, there are shots like where the beds that they're sleeping in have like what happens to them, like over, like her bed has
wasn't that crazy?
May Queen
right
in it,
right,
like in a painting over it. And
you want to know what's funny about that too? I was just thinking, I watched this movie last week, and I watched it on May 2nd, which was a day after Beltane, which is in Wiccan and Pagan calendars. Beltane is May 1st, and that's the May Queen. I didn't even think about that till I finished, and I was like, that is so weird. What a connection, right? Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't either. It didn't occur to me. I didn't even think
about it, right. By the way, Halloween costume for you. Please see if you can find that dress she wears as a Halloween costume and wear it one year. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh, the dress at the dance?
Yeah, no, the dress like at the very end, the giant dress of flowers. If you could somehow find
the giant dress of flowers.
That would be amazing.
You couldn't move though.
That would be a great couple costume. Someone could dress up as the guy with the bear, and then you could dress up as the May Queen costume. That'd be great.
God. Oh God! To our 5 listeners, somebody do that.
Nobody would know who you were.
Please, somebody do that.
But, could you imagine the outfit trying to get that costume on? That must have been a nightmare. Oh, anyway.
And that bear would be so hot.
Well, that would be. Well, it'd be pretty cool though. That's for sure. But yeah, I don't know. That's what I enjoyed about it. Most people who have seen it who didn't like it have told me that too long, drags on. I'll agree with that a little bit, but. You need to appreciate the storytelling. It's like a musician who says they don't like reggae music. Like if you want to be, you need to understand every aspect of what it is you're doing. You don't have to like it, but you have to appreciate it.
Yeah.
So,
and I love that it's a different kind of final girl movie. Like,
there you go.
She is the final girl.
There you go.
But she's the final girl because she chooses.
That's right.
To have the last guy killed and to assimilate into this culture.
I do wonder. I mean, I still have that random thought in my head, which I do wonder sometimes because they were tripping so hard the whole time. Was this all just made up in their heads when they're just stoned the whole time, or did it really happen?
Nope. It's real. It happened. I believe it happened.
And you know what though? That's one of those things where I'd almost like to know what happens to her the next day or the week after when she comes down. And like, is this really for her? I mean, I know we're never going to find that out, but I'm curious about that.
Well, what would have happened if she chose the villager instead of choosing Christian? Sure. Like, would she get killed then? Would they kill her?
Probably.
Or would they just let her leave? Come on, they're not going to let her leave.
Right. So, and one thing I like, I like the story of telling, the pagan side of it and all, but it's a lot like witchcraft, where we don't really know for sure if this stuff was actually real things that happened. It's kind of because the documentation on this stuff is spotty at best. So, anyone that may have more roots or connection to that or knows more about it may be able to answer that. But it's definitely portrayed in a bad light for some people. And like I said, I hope people in Sweden don't take offense to that because I don't know. But overall, it was definitely good. It's really well crafted and it's just well executed. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It was impressive.
So let's see. Is there anything else we need to say about it?
That's it. I rambled on my part of it.
I think we might have covered it.
Yeah,
so guys,
that's good.
Before we sign off, we'd like to ask you, if you enjoyed the podcast, please rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you're listening. And thank you so much for listening.
Yes.
We will see you next time.
Yep, you bet. Out. See ya.